for Late Night New England with your host, Michael J. Petit, broadcasting live from an abandoned warehouse with insufficient lighting. Here's Michael.
Hi there. Welcome to the Late Night program. I'm Michael Petit. We hope this message finds you well. We're excited because we get to come and play Dress Up. This is our happy place. Don't take that away from me. Tonight's program is a compilation. We've had so many amazing guests from people all over New England, and we decided to put together a program that just showcases you. It's the best of the worst. Cleanly wiped and disinfected. It's Late Night New England, it's Wicked Good TV, and it's all about you. You know, laughter, LOL, it's the ultimate form of escapism. Laughter, whatever ails you. Let's check out the very funny comedian from Rhode Island, Mr. John Perrotta.
Hey, it's great to be here on Late Night New England with Mike Petit. I got to tell you, I've been feeling great. Just lost 50 pounds. 50 pounds, I feel like a million times better. But I wanted to cheat on my diet the other night. So it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, the wife's sleeping. So I said, let me see what I can do. I'm not too familiar with all these apps, so I go on my computer, I go on Grindr. So I go on Grindr. All I wanted was a small tuna with provolone. 3 guys showed up in their underwear. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know Grindr was an app where you meet guys. Now I know.
You look, John, you look great, and they say comedy can be painful, but this is a man who has suffered, but you make people laugh.
Through the laughter, yeah? You got to make them laugh.
You make people laugh. No, John, you're from originally?
Cranston, Rhode Island.
You're from Cranston, and gosh, you have shows all over the place. Obviously, we've worked together over the years, but you're known for kind of doing the crowd work. You know, you get into the crowd, you like to have a little fun.
I always been billed as the Italian Don Rickles.
The Italian Don Rickles, and, obviously, we're well aware of it. I think it's kind of realigned itself. But the hypersensitivity with people, John, how do you deal with, because you work in the crowd, and you just don't know what's going to...
I'm pretty good about going up to the line, and I can tell if I see somebody get upset, I get away from them. But,
sure.
But I've been very blessed that for a long time now. I haven't had a problem. Now, one time I did a bachelor party.
Oh boy.
Did a bachelor party.
In Rhode Island?
In Rhode Island. At the time I weighed 250. This biker guy was about 7 feet tall, humongous. Decides he doesn't like my act. He gets me, picks me up in the air. I'm at the Edgewood Yacht Club in Cranston. He's going to throw me in the water. So now I can't swim, so I'm up in the air, I get the mic, I'm thinking, is this my last joke? Is this the end of my life? He puts me down, I said, thank you. I've run into this guy several times since, I just give him a little wave and I walk real fast.
Sure.
Real fast, Mike.
A little bit more than a heckler.
And I worked at a prison for 36 years, so people say to me, that must have been dangerous. I said, you know what dangerous is? Comedy. I've had more danger in comedy.
And so I'm going to throw a few words out for you, and I need you to give it to the camera, not me, in your best John Perrotta, a.k.a. the Italian Don Rickles of New England. You ready? What do you think? This is kind of a curveball. You ready?
Yeah.
I want you to sell it. Just be yourself. Forget about it.
Forget about it. Forget about what? The first 2 marriages? It's tough to do that.
You take care of that thing?
Yeah, I put the envelope in the drawer. Everything's all set.
You took care of that thing?
Everything's all set.
Sauce or gravy?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'll take either one. Doesn't matter to me. Just put it on some meatballs and I'll eat it. I don't care, Mike. I don't get into the argument. Just put it on and I'll eat it.
John Perrotta from the Comedy Factory. Check him out on Grindr. That was great. You're laughing. You seem well adjusted. Please say hello to the car guy, Mr. Steve Mirabile. How you doing, sir? Let me see those. Those are possibly.
I washed them up for tonight.
Those are possibly the cleanest thing.
That's for TV.
Nice to meet you, sir. I don't know how you do what you do, but tell us about your passion for automobiles, Steve.
I enjoy what I do immensely, and in my elder years, I started back when I was, of course, 14, 15. But in my elder years now, it's been a passion of mine to promote the classic cars, to keep that sport alive, to keep the young kids educated in that, and we do that through, car shows and stuff like that. And I have a garage, and I do a lot of work for people. This is a cruise night, and that's my 32, John Buchanan's car,
Now,
Jack
John
Lane's.
Buchanan, I've met John. Excuse me. John is the gentleman who kind of heads up the mass cruisers.
Yes, John Buchanan is probably the lifeblood, and I was going to mention that, of the mass cruisers. Okay, he does the newsletter, he does all the photos, he's involved in MAC. He is really, really into the culture.
John Buchanan, ladies and gentlemen, up at Gillette Stadium, where those guys just kind of win Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Every other Thursday during the summer, they have a car cruise night, and I've gone up there probably 15 years ago, and it started, like most things, just from a germ of an idea.
Right.
On any given Thursday, every other week during the summer, 1,000 cars?
More. It started in the very front of the Bass Pro Shop,
Sure.
right where they had the boats.
Right
and
at
they
Bass
moved
Pro
that out.
Shop.
And now it's out in the parking lot, and they take over, Mr. Kraft has been generous enough, they take over that whole far parking lot, and they'll do anywhere from 1,000 is probably a bad night to 2,000 cars. People start lining up to get their spot at 1 o'clock in the afternoon for a 5 o'clock show.
Sure, I've gone up there, and there's a DJ, and it's really, it's such an appreciation is the best word I could say. You're originally from?
I'm originally from Sharon.
From Sharon.
I live on the Rehoboth-Seekonk line right now.
Sure. And we were introduced to you from Steve.
Steve Howard. Now again, Steve Howard is a classic car person, and he may not, I hope he appreciates this, but how we met, Steve and I met. I have a garage at home, very fortunate enough that I have a 45 by 75 foot garage, all air conditioned, man cave, and I never let anybody in.
Yeah.
So one day, I always kept the door open about
Is that
this
it
much.
right there?
That's my garage at home. My wife calls it the Garage Mahal, and it's not always that clean, but because we'll have several projects, there's 9 cars there right now. But Steve Howard, I left my door open about that far. And no one knows. Everybody drives up and down the street. No one knows what's in this big garage. And I keep it quiet. But he saw some hot rods. So one day, I'm in the garage, and I hear, hello. And I goes, how'd he get in? And Steve Howard is crawling under my garage door that's this much open and going, hi, I'm Steve Howard. I noticed your cars. And we've become good friends ever since.
And how long ago was that?
That's got to be 12 years, almost 12 years now.
What a character.
He is a character.
We love characters. That's what it's all about.
You want to be in the car culture, you're going to see all kinds of characters.
Sure. Now, I notice you have all of your fingers.
All of my fingers, they've been bent a few times, cut up a few times, but, you do what you got to do. My wife is very conscientious. The garage has 16 cameras, and she's watching me during the day if she's not home, make sure I'm still moving,
Sure.
But, we get a lot done, and we've met a lot of people. And,
Sure.
And, through John Buchanan and some of the other car clubs that we go to and stuff like that, we help promote them all. The Bass Pro Shops and Mass Cruises is a very big cruise, and there's people come from, several states to come there.
All over New England.
All over New England.
All over New England. It's a full event, a day-long thing. People bring their lawn chairs. They have coolers. They sell
Everything.
food there. It's really kind of a I don't want to say throwback, but it is kind of a throwback. It's the 50s and 60s.
It's the 50s and 60s. We've had Chronicle come out there and film it.
Sure.
They do a lot with the food bank. in the local community, and Mr. Kraft would like us to donate to the touching towns around there. So they collected canned goods to get it to come in as a donation.
Sure.
And they promote it, that way. But what's nice about it is that the several car clubs that are around this area, like I do a lot with the push rods out of Waltham, and Rattlers and Cousins out of
Sounds like
Freetown.
a gang. The Rattlers.
Yeah.
This guy, he's a gang member.
Yeah. But it gives them a place to all come in uniform.
It's a community.
It's a community.
It's a social club.
Yep.
So how do people find out about you? Because I know you will work on someone's car too.
Yes.
You are not only a car enthusiast, but you really care. And
most of my work is word of mouth based on, I only work on high-end cars. I do stuff that other people either don't want to do or can't do. I manufacture my own parts, stuff like that.
So my 2010 Nissan Murano.
I'll send you someplace.
And where do people go to see some of your work that you do? And obviously there's a Camaro. That's just beautiful.
That's some of the cars in the garage. Those are all mine. There's me working on one of the high boys. That was mine. That car's moved on. I got the yellow 32 now mostly. I drive.
Beautiful.
That's in the garage. And then you saw a picture of the tool room. Over the years, being a craftsman and starting at an early age, it's afforded me to have a 45-foot by 12-foot by 9-foot tool room. And it's all 4 walls, ceilings, everything. You can see all the spray guns.
Yeah.
I'm certified with several paint companies. I teach painting and stuff like that. Retired business consultant in the auto body field. So I can make pretty much anything. The things you see on TV, I have it all. Between English wheels, planishing hammers, everything.
And you've been very fortunate, and that's what passion is all about. You've gotten to kind of have some hobnobbing and kind of hanging out with some pretty big people over there. And there's our favorite Boston guy, Mr. Jay Leno. Now, where was this at?
This was down at the Concourse d'Elegance down in Newport, and one of my other hobbies is photography. As you can see, I'm wearing a media pass down there, and John Buchanan and I went down there to photograph the Concourse d'Elegance. It's a whole different type of people down there, but it was still part of the car culture. And what John and I brought back was the culture that the everyday doesn't get to see. It's more like Pebble Beach. And, where can you go see 5, 6 Bugattis in a row, 3 antique Bugattis? The cars got flown over from Sweden. There was cars from all over the world there. Yeah. And John and I are lucky enough to photograph at Barrett Jackson and shows like this to bring it back to that stuff.
And, of course, you got the gentleman, Wayne, who has his own...
Wayne Carini?
Yes.
Yes, no, he was there. Wayne Carini was there. He was a judge. He didn't mingle as much because he was a judge. They had 32 different judges down there.
Sure. Let me ask you a question. Europe, we're fascinated with European vehicles, but there's a thing for the classic vehicles that were American-made in Europe, too. Like, I have a Mustang.
Right now, the hottest thing over in Europe in the classic industry is American cars. They're getting big money. You go over to the car shows over in Sweden, Europe, Britain, they have a whole culture that's just American cars. Same thing with Cuba, all American cars. You know what I mean? It is a culture into itself. I'm working on a car right now that somebody picked up. It's a Mercer, and it was it was a European car, and they just did a thing on Wheeler Dealers on the Mercer and how much value that had back over in Europe.
What's your favorite song to listen to when you cruise?
Me, Born to be Wild.
Get your motor running.
Yeah.
Steppenwolf.
Yeah, we always take my car because it's never been beat.
This guy, the hipster.
Yeah.
How do people find out about your business? You have a website?
I really don't advertise. It's word of mouth.
These car guys.
You know what I mean?
It's a cult. It's a tight-knit group.
It is a cult. Most people know me, SJM Distributors. That was a website and my email address, stuff like that. But most of the stuff I've got 8-month waiting list, 9-month waiting list. And we fit people in. Like there's a guy come in the other day, went to a show. He's got a 32 Ford. His hood doesn't flip open like the couple he saw like mine. So all of a sudden he shows up and he goes, I don't care what it takes. Here it is. I want my hood to flip open.
Well, I got to tell you, you really have a nice life for yourself. I met your beautiful wife.
Yeah.
And is it okay to say that she's a classic?
No.
She's beautiful. Very nice woman.
She is. I wouldn't call her a classic.
Classic is the best.
Well, she's very
vintage,
classy. Not vintage. No.
I know people who say that.
You're gonna try to get me in trouble.
No. That's a compliment. 100%. Your work is beautiful, and when the weather gets nice, maybe we can do something else. Go for a cruise.
I'd have no problem bringing any cars by.
Bring some of the cars by.
Yeah.
Hey, it's our friend Steve Mirabile. Hey, we're all about variety here at Late Night New England. Please welcome to the late night program the band Contusion.
While the music played, you walked back in light. Those San Francisco nights, they were the best in town. Just by chance, you crossed the diamond with the world. You turned it on the world, and you turned the world around. Did you feel like Jesus? Did you realize that you are a champion in their eyes?
She don't like me like before. I've been swimming and I can't make the shore. Seems you got me down. Seems you got me down. All I needed left today, all the brightness in my life turned.
Being a comedian, being a host, being in a band, you rock. Please say hello to the Late Night New England house band, the Groovalados. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hey, how you doing?
You look wonderful. You sound even better. My gosh, the musicians are always so cool, aren't they, folks? They're just so cool. I myself, I work in that crazy stand-up comedy world, and the difference between being, a comedian is like, oh my God, you're funny. Meet my boyfriend. When you're in a band, you're like, oh my God, you're in a band. We should hang out. You guys are just, you're just so full of energy, and you've got that vibe. Waleed, my friend, you are amazing. Tell everybody at home where you're from.
I'm from Mashpee, Massachusetts.
Mashpee, Massachusetts. We love that. And tell us the backstory or behind the jam of how you guys really came together to be this super group.
Well, it all started actually in 2009. A guitarist by the name of James Wolfe, who actually used to be a session player in Motown, now lives in Cotuit, and he was the founder of the Cotuit Center for the Arts. One night I got to play at the Cotuit Center for the Arts at an open mic, and he said, I like you, and I got to introduce you to a friend of mine who plays drums. And so organized a jam session, and that's when I met Eddie Ray Johnson. And I have to say, James was right. We were that kind of fit, from the beginning.
How you doing, brother?
Pleasure to meet you, my friend. You are a man who bangs on.
Those kids.
So at a young age,
8 years old.
8 years old.
Kicked out of 4th grade math class for drumming with my pencils.
To all of my friends back home who used to have.
Yeah, it's been. Matter of fact, as on Friday, it's been 50 years I've been playing.
50 years.
50 years, and I can remember watching the Flip Wilson show with the Jackson 5s on. And the next day, I had my pencils and I'm jamming away. Mr. Atkins, stop. Mr. Atkins, stop. That's it. Give me those pencils, go down to the band room so you never have to drum in my class again. And I was hooked ever since.
And we are thankful that you failed.
Late night, New England,
Hey, are you like me? Are you a late night snacker? When it's dark, nobody seems to be around. It's just you in the fridge. You know the fridge is open because the light's always on. Let's check in with our very talented friend, Mr. David LaFeria, and play What's in the Bag. You are a talented guy, the sandwich dad. Tell everyone how the whole sandwich dad phenom. I mean, your stuff is. He's kind of a tech guy, but he's a graphic designer, as I said. And your stuff is just so topical, a little bizarre, but you always have your finger on the pulse.
It all started
Excuse me.
just as a fun thing that I did with my kids when they were little. To surprise them at lunch, I hid it from them so that it would be a surprise. But
Sure.
then as they got older, it wasn't, I didn't have to hide it anymore. Well, what the heck, as they get older, they didn't eat breakfast with me anymore.
Sure.
And
You're not cool anymore, Dad.
well, I'm cool because I did the bags for them. That's about it, yeah.
Sure, sure.
But I always said to them, I'll stop whenever you want. So honest to God, I just went right through to high school with them. And they've both are, one's out of college, one's still in college. I still do the bags, technically for them.
Sure.
Because they do like give me those nice hearts and likes and things all the time. But I have a following, and I have a following with these bags that I'm doing it for them also. But
Sure.
still, my kids, I'm the sandwich bag dad for crying out loud.
You're the cool dad. So now you've got your followers, and people just really enjoy seeing what's in the cranium of that Einstein hair that you have. Maybe we could do something here on the late night show. What do you think?
I think we could. We need to have fun though, right?
Oh, it's all
Fun?
about fun.
It's all fun?
Uppercase F-U-N.
You know, I have a lot of fun with doing rebuses. You know,
Sure.
like visual
clues, sure.
visual clues.
Sure.
Maybe we could do something like that.
What's in the bag?
It sounds pretty good to me.
What's on the bag?
Yeah, because that's what it is.
It's our friend Dave LaFeria here. Let's find out what's on the bag. Funny stuff. Mr. Dave LaFeria. What was the clue, Dave?
Well, you look at that word view in the eye. It's a bird's eye view.
Bird's eye view. Mr. David LaFeria here on Late Night New England. I like what's in the bag. Dave, will you come back again?
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dave LaFeria. You probably heard her on the Boston radio market. She's just beautiful. Please say hello in the late night program to the wonderfully talented Lauren Petit. You're on the radio.
Indeed.
And it's just something that you sound so, you're having fun.
It's so fun. We all say, like, really, this is our job? I mean, trust me, there are days that are difficult. There are days that are not great, but there are so many days that are just so much fun.
Sure.
I mean, it really is. We get to play music that we love. We get to hang out with cool people. I mean, it's great. It really is a lot of fun.
Can you work on the traffic?
I don't know what I can do about that.
You know, you hear the traffic person.
I have to deal with it too.
Let's go to Bob. How's it out there going, Bob? It's not going very good.
Yeah,
back
it's
to
never
you,
going
Lauren.
good.
You know, they put the traffic and the weather back to back. That's never good in New England.
No. It's okay in maybe July. At least you got the weather.
Nothing says being from New England like camping, outdoors, having a fire, making great memories. Please say hello to our friend at the late night program from Camp Kewaunee, Mr. Bill Boyle. You brought the fire.
I figured I'd bring some of the wood, so to speak, to you.
You brought gifts.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, I too want to reciprocate. And you know, marshmallows are good cooked and uncooked. It's true. Bill, I don't think I've ever spoken with a marshmallow during the day. Bill, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming here. You got your flannel shirt on.
Gotta look the part, you know?
Yeah. And Camp Kewaunee, what a unique experience for people. Tell everybody at home about Camp Kewaunee.
So Camp Kewaunee, it's part of the National Historic Register, actually. Back in 2005 is when they made it official. It's now owned by the town of Hanson, but was built in 1899 by Albert Burridge, who was a rich industrialist. It was one of his many summer homes. He owned it for a period of time and then actually sold it in, I believe, 1922 to the Campfire Girls. And they owned it real up until about 1979 when the town bought it from them. And now it's just this beautiful 68 acres of pristine woods.
On the lake.
On the lake, McQuan Lake. Not Crystal Lake, but McQuan Lake.
Sure.
And it's everybody calls it a hidden gem because you get there and it's like going to Maine without the drive. It's beautiful.
It's like not going to Maine without Maine. I love Maine. You have all types of functions there. People can come and they can rent cabins.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can rent a cabin. You can be outdoors. You don't have to deal with traffic. You have weddings. People love to have this because it's like a huge log cabin. It's just.
Oh, it's massive. Yeah, it's a 200-person function room. And again, it's, they call it the Needles Lodge. That's what it was named because you got the towering pine trees.
Sure.
So for many years now, it's just become a destination point for a rustic wedding because you're on the lake,
Sure.
you get married right by the water. And for a lot of folks, Memorial Day weekend through mid-October, you can actually add a camping package to your wedding. So you get to party and then walk into the campground and continue celebrating with your family and friends. And there's really, I don't think, any better way to celebrate.
No, people love the outdoors, and I am one myself. I am all about having a nice fire out in the backyard, having some friends gather around and tell fire pit stories, or just what is it with fire that just it just takes you away and it's mesmerizing and you stare at it and it's just something
it's
very
like
unique.
that iconic scene with Tom Hanks
Sure.
in Castaway where he's just, I have made fire. It's just it's something that taps into our
I love Tom Hanks, but you don't want to travel with Tom Hanks.
No.
Everywhere he goes, it doesn't seem to work out well. You create the experience. That is your job. To create that experience for people to come, a little quick getaway, and come and experience Camp Kewaunee.
Yeah, it's I don't want to steal somebody else's phrase, but it is one of the most magical places on earth.
Sure. And what is that hanging?
Some people would think it's one of the ghosts that supposedly, inhabit the lodge, but no, that's actually a picture from one of the weddings. A nice artistic photograph of
Sure.
the wedding dress by the lodge, and it's one of my favorite photos that I've come across since my time being there. So I try to use it as much as possible because it's a beautiful photo and it kind of captures the spirit, so to speak, of a Camp Kewaunee wedding.
Now, Bill, you have weddings. It's on the lake. You've already kind of mentioned it. It is kind of a I'm sure you've had the crazy wedding people because it's all about the theme.
Oh, yeah. There we go. So that's actually this past year, we had some folks that got married on Friday the 13th.
Sure.
And it was amazing seeing all the different pictures. And this was actually one of their pictures, and I believe the caption was 1 weekend of marriage, killing it.
1 weekend of marriage, killing it. It's our friend Bill Boyle from Camp Kewanee. You want to get married? You want to get hitched? You talk to Mr. Bill Boyle.
Late Night New England. Wicked. Pissa. Awesome.
From the Hollywood Hills of California. You might have seen him on the TV show Family Ties with Michael J. Fox. He's a national headlining comedian. He tours all over the country, and he has so many wonderful stories. We only have a short amount of time, but ladies and gentlemen, on the Late Night program, please say hello to Mr. Mark Skippy Price.
Oh, well, I don't want to brag, but I'm officially on the map of the Stars homes. I don't know how they know where I park my RV. But I get to travel around 50 cities, going all over. Last year, 50 cities. This year, we're about 5 cities in already, and it's going really well, so we're good.
That's fantastic. And your website, and people can find out about your tour dates, Mark.
We just send people to Facebook and Twitter, and now I'm an influencer, so I've got all new world going. I'm a has-been-fluencer.
Who'd have thought, after all these years, that you are actually an influencer? And as people can see, we're putting up some of your fun images of yourself on stage, obviously on TV, working with Michael J. Fox. And I just appreciate you, what you're doing, performing live comedy.
I love it. My dad was a comedian. I followed in his footsteps. We're both poor decision makers. And the bottom line is you can't fight the destiny, you know. It was, I don't know what else to say. You can steer it a little bit. I tell people, try to steer your destiny, but ultimately you can't fight it.
You enjoy being on the stage and making people laugh, and I know that you're doing quite well on the road and performing, and that's what you enjoy. So, Mark, you're doing amazing things out there, making people laugh, and your dad was a stand-up comedian. A lot of people don't know this.
Yeah, he started way back when. He was in the 40s. He was big. He was on the radio with Fred Allen. In the early days of TV, he hosted one of the early TV shows, and he worked with people like Neil Simon, you know, was one of the writers, you know, stuff like that, crazy stuff. He actually wrote with Lenny Bruce.
Wow.
Yeah, because people forget Lenny Bruce, before he broke through and became the rebel comedian that told the truth and said the way it really is. He was a suit and tie comedian. For that matter, so was Carlin, and so was Richard Pryor. They all started as suit and tie comics.
Sure. And Michael Stipe from REM always said, you know, Lenny Bruce is not afraid. Mark, we got your website up there. People can follow you, and I know you're traveling and you're doing all kinds of wonderful things, living your life. We appreciate your time, Mark.
Oh, Michael, it's such a pleasure to see you do this. You're such a great guy. You're so talented and so much fun. You have such a warm, wonderful energy. It's my pleasure to join you tonight. It really is.
My gosh, can you please tell my agent or my agent at State Farm?
I'm with Flo from Progressive.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the very funny Mr. Mark Price. Thank you so much, sir.
Love your guts.
Tonight on Late Night, we are privileged to have a former NHL player. He is pretty much all over New England, does so much with youth hockey camps, and he was on the 1984 Olympian team. We are so proud here at Late Night to welcome Mr. Dave Jensen. How you doing, big guy?
Good to see you, man.
You look
Good
good.
Thank you. Thank you.
You beat people up for a living.
Well, I wasn't one of those guys. I was a skill guy. I actually was nice to the guys that beat people up for a living. I'd take them for dinner, you know what I mean, for beers and all that stuff, right?
But you had friends that would take care of it when they needed.
I had a lot of friends like that.
David, I've known you for a few years now, and gosh, we love the Bruins, don't we? We love the Bruins and the blue-collar lunch bucket hockey player. You are from New England.
I am. I'm from Needham, Mass. Originally grew up there back in the Bobby Orr days.
Yes.
I was born in '65 and youngest in my family, youngest in the neighborhood. So I grew up, street hockey was just happening all the time, pond hockey, youth hockey in Needham was very popular. So that's kind of how I got into it, and I just loved it.
Sure.
Totally loved it.
And you've had quite a career. So, you know, you obviously got up real early in the morning to go to.
You know, I still remember that, like even as like a 7 or 8 year old, and those are the best memories of my life. Driving the BU with my dad to play in the Greater Boston Youth Hockey League, and at 4 in the morning, I just thought it was so cool back then. It was just outstanding, you know. Those are the things that you'd think that you'd look back at that like, oh, I had to get up early. Like I still remember like it was yesterday. Just a feeling of waking up early, 7, going in, getting on the ice, and it was magical for me. I loved it. I loved spending time with my dad.
Sure.
You know, God rest his soul. But,
sure.
I mean, it's a family sport, and like that's what hockey taught me a lot about principles and values in life, and you know that I was able to carry forward throughout my entire life.
Absolutely. You know? Yeah, and obviously you did the Olympics in 1984. Once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah.
And you're still friends with the guys from the team.
Very close to them, including Pat LaFontaine. I put in a line called the diaper line because we were so young. I was in high school still. I actually I made the Olympic team my junior year, the summer of my junior year, and then I traveled for it was a 6-month commitment. And then you played in the Olympics in February. I went back to high school, played 2 high school hockey games. And then I, continued on my spring semester and graduated.
Now you played. You were fortunate to be blessed and play in the NHL.
Yes.
You played for numerous teams.
I played for the Whalers, the Caps, and the Bruins organization.
Whalers, the Caps, and the Bruins.
Yeah, and I was able to play in 4 national teams. I played in a couple of Olympic teams. I played in a World Cup team, which is the Canada Cup back then,
sure.
and the World Championship. So very fortunate, and very fortunate to get the opportunity. The opportunities I had in hockey.
What's your greatest experience playing through your hockey career and your hockey legacy?
The greatest experience is the Olympics, especially for me being young and following the 80 team in
sure.
84. It was just a dream come true to put the USA hockey sweater on. It was unbelievable.
I just got goosebumps. How about you?
And I did too, and I got it every time. We played like 65 preseason games. We
sure.
played every NHL team.
Yeah.
We played the Russians 12 times,
yeah.
Canada 12 times, Finns, Swedes. It was one of those, back and forth to Europe, Alaska. We traveled quite a bit back then. But it was an unbelievable experience. The NHL was a dream for me too, but it was a different experience. I loved it. My first NHL game was at Madison Square Garden when I was 18. I just graduated high school, that June. And I was playing in September, October.
Sure.
And Madison Square Garden with the Hartford Whalers. So that was pretty spectacular, and then pulling the Bruins jersey on, phenomenal. But there's nothing like the Olympics.
A rock star on ice.
Well, I didn't feel that way, and I never do.
No, you don't realize you.
Hockey players, exactly. And you know what? Like the greatest thing I've ever done is to be able to make a positive difference in kids' lives, and that's
sure.
what I do today, working with kids in hockey camps and running anti-bullying programs.
That's right. Now, David has the DAJ. Hockey school.
Yep.
And you can tell folks a little bit about the DAJ.
It's dajhockey.com. It's clinics, it's camps, we do everything. We do on ice, off ice type of stuff, and we also run programs for a nonprofit called Hockey Cares for Kids, where we go out to middle schools and the like and talk to kids about anti-bullying, have street hockey events, and again, that is the most important thing I've ever done. I'm fortunate to have really good guys
sure.
that support it, like Ricky Middleton and
sure.
Terry O'Reilly. And,
former Bruins.
Yeah, I mean, legends. The numbers are in the rafters.
Sure, sure.
And these guys, true gentlemen, and they really care about the next generation and kids and trying to make a positive difference. Like I said, hockey, it instilled principles and values in me, decent principles and values that I carried on throughout my life, and I try to instill in my own kids and try to help other kids too. And the most important thing, again, is helping others. Trying to help other kids and protect others, right?
And that's what we need, obviously, yes. We need much more of that. I've watched your program. I see what you're doing with the kids and the way that they respond.
Exactly.
There's a lot of respect.
Yeah. Yes.
There's a lot of respect.
Yeah.
And hockey is such a family team.
Sport. It is.
It really, really is.
Totally.
The early up in the morning thing was why I.
Yeah, I was fortunate. Again, you talk about a team, family type of thing, sport.
Sure.
I was lucky. I had parents, really good parents, that were willing to make the commitment for me because I loved it. Whether it was hockey, soccer, baseball, football, school, they were always there for me. And I try to do the same with my kids, and that's the family commitment. And that's why, You know, other sports have that too.
Sure.
But hockey really has that, you know, throughout. You know, you really have to have. You can't do it yourself.
Well, see, we were somewhat poor growing up. We could never afford the ice.
Yeah, which is, you know.
We found a pond.
Yeah. Yeah, and I loved pond hockey. Was like, again, that was magical to me.
Sure.
The best memories of my life are street hockey games out in my driveway or out in the street.
Of course.
And pond hockey. Sure. You know, it's just a phenomenal sport. It's the love of my life, hockey. You know, it really is.
Car.
Yeah, totally. You
Right?
move the nets, and how about you know, the tennis ball? You got one ball left.
Sure.
And the storm drain.
Sure.
I remember diving on the cement to get that tennis ball, so we didn't lose the last ball of the day.
Sure.
Skin my elbows.
Nice.
I mean, that's how great it was, right?
Sure. So now, David, people can go to your website,
Hockey.com.
DAJhockey.com. Give a big smile to the camera out there, Dave. Look at that, folks. An NHL player that still has all of his teeth. We hope you'll come back and visit us again, Dave.
I'm not sure they're my originals. You know what I mean?
Nothing's original here,
Exactly.
folks. It's all Photoshop. It's Late Night New England with our big, fun New England friend, Mr. Dave Jensen. Please come back, Dave.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You can possibly see him in Boston. He is all over New England. He plays guitar, he sings, he tells jokes. A good friend of ours here at the Late Night program. Please enjoy Mr. David Andrews.
Never is a man so tall as when he stoops to help a child. Or the best exercise for a human heart is to reach down and lift someone else up. So after I finished, I said to one kid, I hope you get better. He says, yeah, you too. Oh, I was singing this Irish place the other night, you know a tune, Danny Boy, you know? Irish tune, guy in the front row started crying. I said, you Irish? He said, no, I'm a musician. Wasn't very nice.
We've worked together, Dave, for well over 15, 20 years, all over New England.
Yeah, I can remember doing Stitches.
Stitches Comedy Club.
And private things, all kinds of things.
Private things. Say hi to the camera back home.
This
Dave
guy's
Andrews.
really good, you know.
That's right. I'm okay. I'm adequate. You and the guitar.
Yeah.
We love variety here. That's what we're all about. And it's just a.
I love the guitar.
You just always.
I don't know what I'm going to play. Let's do a funny song. Let's see what we can do. How about a little Tom Petty?
Love Tom Petty.
Yeah. Oh, I screwed it up. Wait a minute.
Of course you did. Tom Petty. Tom Petty has touched so many generations. We miss Tom Petty.
Yeah, we do.
Cause she's a
good girl.
She loves her mama.
Who wants a good girl? Does any guy want a good girl?
They're all good. My mom watches the show. We have one viewer. Don't upset my mom.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mom.
But you
sorry, Mom.
Murph's my dog. You guys know that.
Murph's a fine dog. Do we have a dog song?
You play. Dog should have a song.
I don't know.
In that window.
Yeah.
So
when
David,
I play for the old folks, that's what I do.
David, where are you from originally?
I am from Woburn, Mass.
You're from Woburn, but you tour all over New England.
I have toured all over New England.
And how people
I don't mean to brag.
You're on our show, Dave. We've also.
I don't know what that means, but
we're
it was a
all
good line.
lowering our standards. Your website. How can people find out about you?
DaveAndrewsLive.com, or you could go to Facebook, Dave Andrews Funny Musician.
Late Night New England. It's wicked good TV.
Thank you for joining us here on the best of the worst of Late Night New England. I hope this provided a little LOL and just tucks you in tonight. I have a built-in bias towards making people laugh. I enjoy doing what I do, serving as host. We hope you are well. Stay safe. We'll see you all again. It's Late Night New England. It's wicked good TV.
Oh, yeah. There we go. So that's actually this past year.
I actually was nice to the guys that beat people up for a living. I take them for dinner, you know what I mean, for beers and all that stuff, right?
There, Michael. I feel like I need to put my hand in my ear and do the old Ted Koppel move.
Or James T. Kirk.
Being Italian, when you want a grinder, it's usually a sub.
I've done some wrestling training. I know this doesn't look like that, but I have done a little.
I see trees of green. That's Nancy Pelosi. Red roses too.
There's our favorite Boston guy, Mr. Jay Leno. Now, and we just had a big powwow meeting. We had a big writers meeting, and we finally decided that we have no added value.